Welcome into Thursday's edition of Talking Fitchburg. It's Thursday, September 17th, 2020. I'm Jeremy Crosby alongside Andrew Bamlett running the show for us as usual. We got a great and busy show for you on this cool Thursday. And speaking of cool Thursday, why we're so busy, we're going to be talking about your furnace with Kendall Richardson here from All Comfort Services. Get you ready for that. Plus, Andrea Miller is here too. We're going to be talking about mealtime prep here in the month of September, getting your family involved. So we got to get right to our headlines. And we start with Seminole Highway and McKee Road intersection. There'll be a partial closure starting on Saturday at 6 a.m. and this will run through Sunday. If they can't get the road paved on Saturday, they'll pave it on Sunday morning. But basically right dead center in the intersection. They'll be working on that and prepping that as the project moves on for the McKee Road construction. And I wanted to show you a video from our election officials working very hard to prep all of their absentee ballots and getting them ready for the mail. There's a deadline coming up real soon. You want to make sure that you do get your absentee ballot. You need to register to vote. Visit myvote.wi.gov, and there you can not only register, but sign in to get a mail-in ballot for the upcoming election. And we got to thank our staff so much, the clerks and election officials, that is, for helping us out and getting that out. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. Coming up next, we're talking about furnace prep for the winter. Next right here on Talking Fitchburg.
Behind every 2020 census taker's mask is a friendly neighbor. They're teachers, retirees, vets, people committed to doing right by getting the count right. If you haven't responded yet, they'll be stopping by to ask some simple questions that will inform how billions in federal funds are spent on local services every year for the next decade. So when they come knocking, say hi from a safe distance and do your part to support your community. Time is running out. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from All Comfort Services, we got the big man, Kendall Richards. He's a long-time, I'm going to call it now, you're a long-time friend of the show. All you have to do is come on our show twice and you're a long-time friend. So, Kendall, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jeremy. And yourself?
I am doing well. I'm glad to have you here as we just went through that cold spell and we're about to get another one here coming up. So it's a great time to be talking about the furnace, and people are like, no, we still are running our air conditioning. Well, sorry, but this is the time to be talking about this, Kendall, and for good reason, because you don't want to get caught with your pants down.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So let's start here, starting early with the maintenance. Always important when we're talking about furnaces.
Absolutely. I mean, the number one favor people could do themselves is just to turn their furnace on. And if someone can't compel themselves to do it now, either tonight or Saturday, it's supposed to get down to a low of 46. Turn it on, let it run for 20 minutes. Make sure it's working as you expected to get that comfort factor there that hey, it didn't just, turn on and the fan's not blowing, but no heat. I mean, better to deal with it in this type of weather in the next week or two or three than, waiting until October, November on a Saturday night and find out that it's not starting.
Yeah, I have no doubt, and you wouldn't paying the extra fees to have somebody come out at night or after normal business hours, I'm sure is pretty costly as well. Not suggesting that your company is or isn't, but no matter who coming out on an emergency call, it can
Absolutely.
be pricey.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as looking at it globally, I'm downstairs, I'm looking at my furnace. I'm sure the first thing that people are drawn to that they can do on their own is look at the filter. And maybe this year, we talked earlier this year about filters in the COVID world. Better filter maybe this year or different. I'm sure people are going to be looking for new options.
Yeah. So people are asking us a lot of those questions, Jeremy. So there's probably three, topics or three things I would suggest. I mean, you can either bring in more fresh air, so air ventilation to kind of dilute the air that's in your house. The air outside is a lot cleaner than what's in your house. so you can bring in fresh air. You can filter the air that you have by a better filtration system. Sometimes it's easy enough is to update your filter, but sometimes you have to put in a new box. And then lastly, some type of killing of that of the virus or the bacteria or whatever. So I'll just say an ultraviolet UVC light is a topic that we're getting a lot of questions, and quite frankly, we've put in more this year than we probably had the 3 years combined. So wow. we're offering them to people. We're asking and we're answering their questions. We're not trying to scare anyone, but hey, people are in their houses a lot more today than they were a year ago, and we just want to make them as comfortable as possible within that house.
What is the regular standard for changing an air filter, whether it's the cooling season or the heating season?
Filters are so different. Like the 1-inch filter, a good 1-inch filter, I'll just say, you really may have to change as much as once a month or once every 2 months. So a 4.5-inch filter, that's pleated, if you will, maybe as little as, I'll just say 9 months to 15 months, depending on your home situation, how much traffic there is, dogs, those type of things. So there's no, really pat answer. And getting an expert out there to be able to, someone you trust to be able to answer some questions and help you with that information in your particular house is probably the best bet.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best way so you can understand it a little bit better. Sorry, I've got a fly in here, random fly. My filter system's not doing so well. Let's talk about dust and things that do get into the furnace for intake wise. How important is it to be dusting? So you'll see some, and again, you know way more than I do on this, so I'm probably blowing this some way or another. But any of the intakes that are in rooms that are collecting dust and are filling up on the outside of the grates, how important is to keep on checking that to make sure that your system's running properly?
Well, the dust on the grate it actually says your system is working well. I know that sounds strange, but that it's bringing enough air through those vents to pull the dust toward that grate or vent or register, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes that dust will just hit the metal and stick to that metal. But it's being pulled, by your system into that vent. So sometimes that's the only way to know the difference between a supply and an intake is the intakes have a little dust on them because, they're pulling it too. And sometimes those dust particles, stick to the metal like magnets. So, I mean, that's not an end all. Cleaning it's probably a good idea. But there's high-low registers. I mean, I'm just going to throw out some random things here. High-low registers, you want them, the bottom ones open this time of year, so you take the cold air off the floor. So not everyone has high-low returns, and they're kind of, high-low is a return in the same stud space or same joist space. There's generally a damper at the bottom, and when you open that up, air comes from the bottom. When you close that, since the air can't come from the bottom, it comes from the top of the room. So going into winter, those should be open so you can let that cold air get pulled off your floor so it's a little bit more comfortable where you're at.
Yeah, super important. And my suggestion to you is get the experts to come out and help you point those things out so you know exactly what you're doing. Because frankly, I would be guilty of this too, I don't know that I'm operating my furnace and air conditioning properly to get the best results out of it. So by bringing an expert out and not only having, somebody like yourself looking at looking at the furnace and everything, but really making sure that you are pulling the best bang for your buck and hopefully making those systems last a lot longer.
Yep, and efficiency from a gas point of view as well. Get them tuned up, make it so you're confident that it's going to be there when you need it. So it's comfortable, right now. So the air is clean, and so it's running as efficiently as possible, last as long as possible. That's all the reasons to have someone come in and take it and do a tune-up or annual preventive maintenance on your furnace and or your air conditioner.
Yeah, very important. I definitely take advantage of doing that, and I recommend that people do that as well, because that just gives you kind of an insight of looking at it. A question I remember asking you on a previous interview, and I think it's so important, is planning for the future. How long? I know you'll give me the best answer possible.
There's a range of, quality, equipment compared to construction equipment. But I would say as a general rule right now, I'm somewhere in that 14 to 16 years. Some manufacturers, are, unfortunately closer to 10 to 13, but, Lennox, Carrier, Train, those manufacturers really, as far as an expectation, you know, if you're interested, please give us a call. Your favorite, heating and cooling. Now's the time. Don't wait until later in the season. If you're looking at making that change, we're still running a BOGO special. So you buy an air conditioner and you get a high efficiency furnace at $1,000. It's just a little slow part of the season. So we want to make sure jump in here real quick so we don't lose that. Humidifiers, you probably want to make sure that they're cleaned and ready to go. The panel, there's a water panel that's in it that with our hard water can really rock up and just be kind of a solid block and cause more issues than it helps. So making sure that water panel, either, we take care of it for you, you take care of it yourself, either one, that's critical. Sometime in November, December, that humidifier will, start really be helpful. Humidifiers run for about 3 or 4 months, and generally in our climate, that panel needs to be changed at least once a year. On long winters, probably 20 to 30% of our customers actually will change their panel twice in a very long winter. About 3 winters ago, that was not that unusual. So, taking care of those humidifiers is, extremely important. And those humidifiers, save you money by having the temperature, the right level of humidity. They also, stop you from getting as sick. That moisture helps, your nasal passage, do its job of making you healthy. Protects wood in the house as well. So there's lots of good reasons that they need a humidifier. Not all houses need them. I'm not suggesting that. But if you need it, or if you have any questions, just give us a call and we'll answer those questions for you.
Yeah, super important. And do those come with a regulator? Like I can have more moisture at sometimes less, or is it all in one type of scenario?
There is a what's called a humidistat that works right with it. Some of our thermostats actually will control the humidifier as well, just so one control, if you will. But you shouldn't have moisture on your windows. Sometimes you don't have a choice, even without a humidifier. Houses are so tight, and especially new construction houses, that there is moisture in the house, you can have moisture in your windows. In that case, you don't need a humidifier. But most houses, that's not the case. If you have moisture on your on your windows, you need to just notch down your humidistat a little bit. Slowly turn it down until the moisture goes away, and then you kind of know that's the best you can do. Put the most moisture in your house without getting your water or moisture on your windows.
Yeah, absolutely. Super important. And final question for you. I know we can keep on going all day here, but one that I know we've talked about as well, and that is, should we cover up those air conditioning units outside? I know it's a buster question here.
Yeah, and you're welcome to do it. We don't recommend it. I mean, we are in the business of providing services and products to our customers, and we just don't see the value for that. What we do tell our customers is if your air conditioner is sitting underneath an overhang that typically gets icicles on it, you may want a piece of plywood on that with a brick or a heavy rock, because that's the only thing that we've really seen is damage done by falling icicles, not done by cold weather or rain or snow. None of that will hurt that. They're built to survive in that environment. But falling icicles, that can cause some issues. So that's probably the only thing that I would recommend. And quite frankly, those cloth covers won't help that. What we're really helping is a piece of, plywood that goes over the top with a heavy rock that sits on it.
Yeah, that's more of preventing a physical object from going through it and breaking something in there. Not a good thing. All right, Kendall, we're out of time, but I certainly appreciate the time. We'll get you back on as soon as it gets a little bit colder out and talk about some ways of maybe saving some dollars on the heat when that season gets here. But until then, make sure you test it. And if you got any questions, call the experts, whether you call Kendall or anybody out there. Now is the time to talk before it gets too late. Kendall, thank you so much for your time as always. And
thanks, Jeremy.
If people want to find out more information related to you, where can they go?
608-838-7300 or our website, allcomfortservices.com. We've got chat right there. You can ask questions online or give us a call. We want to help you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kendall. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Jeremy.
All right. All Comfort Services, Kendall. We appreciate his time as always. Great information. And we'll get him back on the show once the white stuff starts falling. And I'm not saying it now because it's way too early. All right. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today is our dietitian, our registered dietitian. It's Andrea Miller from Hy-Vee. Andrea, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. And we're going to be talking today about September is National Family Meals Month. And I can't think, as the weather in recent days here, the weather has been kind of crummy, makes you want to get inside and maybe get together and do some meal planning together. Talk a little bit about how do we celebrate this month, I guess, to kick things off.
Right. Some people can look at this this topic or this idea as exciting and interesting, and other people can find it very overwhelming and daunting to think about adding more family meals and doing more meals as a family. So I guess the biggest thing to talk about today is take it in baby steps. So do what's best for your family, and with the ultimate goal of, can you find, can you bring joy back in eating food and having meals together as a family, and thinking about not necessarily always what you're having and stressing so much on what the food is, but how you're eating it, and preparing meals together and kind of slowing down with the whole food preparation part and eating part, and make it enjoyable again.
Yeah, I'm thinking as I was making dinner a couple nights ago and trying to just get it done so we can get the family fed, so we can get to the bath, so we can get to the, it can, you can look past that. And it's such a great time. Another thing I'm sure you could take advantage of is how to get the kids involved in the meal process. What are some easy things? And you got a couple of recipes here that certainly get kids involved with, but what's a good intro way to get the kids involved in helping prep those meals?
Sure. So one of the best ways is to get them interested and working and tasting foods. A lot of times when kids reject foods, it's because it's unfamiliar to them. And so we don't have to, as adults and parents, we don't have to force down the idea that you need to eat healthy foods and these are the nutrition facts and all. We don't even have to mention that. But if we can focus more on the sensory aspect of food, so when kids get practice with touching different foods and even preparing things, maybe peeling something, if depending on their age, helping with the cutting and the preparation, but tasting foods when they're raw, when they're cooked at different stages, and kind of just getting them involved in the sensory aspects, that can really help with their interest, their ability to accept foods as they get older, and just enjoy it if they were a part of the whole process.
Yeah, I think that's super important when you're looking at building this up. As far as sitting down for these wonderful meals and stuff, as we've had to quarantine for so long,
right?
And we're kind of like, I know at least here at the Crosby household, we're looking for new ideas, Andrea.
Right.
How can we mix these things up and bring the family together still for an excellent meal?
Right. Yeah. The first thing is to try not to stress out about it. If you can, try to think of it more as an activity rather than a chore. That can help. And then do things that maybe you don't always do. So having theme nights, or using a little alliteration. A lot of people might do Taco Tuesdays or something related to taco on Tuesdays, or homemade pizzas on Fridays, those kinds of things. So maybe having a theme to get people interested, get the family members interested. And you can even do things like, if you're having an Italian meal, play some Italian music, little things like that, just to make it interesting and fun. And again, having some enjoyment with the preparation process. I know, like you mentioned, a lot of times we get so worried about the timing of everything. Am I going to get to the next thing before we have to do baths and bed and everything? But if we can allow for more time for the preparation part of it, and maybe that means we might eat a little bit later, but that's okay if we're eating together as a family.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And this probably brings up the big question that I bet you get, and one that when I saw it on here, I was like, yeah, I have the same question.
Yeah.
Do you have to focus on healthy meals for kids to eat better?
The short answer is no. And the reason the reason I say that is because a lot of times when we use the word healthy, or bring calories into the equation, or even nutrients into the equation, it almost has the opposite effect. So that doesn't mean I'm not encouraging you to eat food that's healthful or that has, that's nutrient dense. But if you can focus more on the balance aspect, focus more on, are you getting different colors when you're talking about fruits and vegetables? Are you getting different textures? Do you have balance? Do you have variety? Do you have moderation? So if you can kind of, in your background as a parent or an adult, take those three considerations, and then let it evolve from there, let it flow from there, where the kids experience more the enjoyment of eating together, the different tastes, the different textures, pleasant conversation, sharing little stories. So that all develops our relationship with food. When we're, told to eat something because it has a certain vitamin in it, or it has a certain number of calorie levels, that kind of lowers the interest and the enjoyment, and not necessary. So it actually helps take a little pressure off us as parents.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can almost think of it as another activity to do with the kids. You're always looking for activities to do, so why not bring them into it? You've got two great recipes that I want to make sure we have time to get to, and maybe it's because it's right before lunch and I'm hungry, but the honey glazed pork chops with apples and root vegetables. Take the root vegetable out of it, you got yourself a meal here, Andrea.
Keep the root vegetables in it, and it's really great for this time of this season. And adds a lot of color too. So when you can use the different root vegetables with the apples and kind of mix that together, you blending some flavors, but also the different colors. And we picked two recipes that all go on a sheet pan. So if you get a nice sturdy rimmed sheet pan, you can make a lot of meals on that one kitchen equipment. So that would be something to consider. And then we, have a little bit of the seasoning that is good for most the honey glazed with a little salt and pepper and thyme, and then mix it all together and bake it all together. And you have a really fast, easy meal. Cleanup's really nice too when you just have the one sheet pan to worry about.
Yeah, and it seems like a very simple recipe. It doesn't cook too long, and can again introduce your kids to some new food there. Just in time for October, or coming up, I think this Italian sausage one is looking pretty good. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Yep, you could use the brat if you wanted to as well during October, if that was more interesting to you. But this one is a similar kind of idea. You have your protein, you have your vegetable, and you have polenta in there as your starch. And so it's essentially the biggest thing with these sheet pan meals is making sure that your time and temperature is cooking the protein component properly. And then to make sure that your vegetables are cooked well and pleasing texture-wise, you want to cut them about the same size, especially if they're more dense, like a root vegetable. You cut them a little bit smaller than you may an onion or a red pepper. But this one is really tasty with the Italian sausage, polenta, and then you have your tomatoes. That if you grow tomatoes, it might be abundant right now. And then you have your pepper and onion slices all mixed together. And so this one is a really colorful, pretty meal as well.
Yeah, looks very good, and I'm feeling a little upset that we didn't get together and make these two. Well, you make them. I can't even say I do it.
They were very tasty.
I just stand by.
I assure you.
Well, certainly great ideas. Sheet pan cooking. Wife introduced me to that a year ago, I guess I could say, and it's very easy and. It's a lot of fun if you can get the kids and just get in some family meals. There's a lot to be said about getting together, putting all the devices away, and just sitting down and having a good meal. And you made me think maybe I should have a tasting night. You're talking about those themes, like do a tasting night to talk about it. And we should sometime too, Andrea, talk about textures. Because I met a dietitian years ago who were talking about that, and I was like, what are you talking about? And it's super important at kids' age to get them to try different foods with different flavors and textures. But anyway, we'll save that for another day.
Sounds good.
People want to find out more or any other tips here on with what you have going, where can they go to?
They could go to Hy-Vee.com for additional recipes and even type in the keyword sheet pan if that is of interest to you. There's also more information online on National Family Meals Month as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good time. Well, I know you're making good meals for your family. I'm going to try these too, and I'll report back next time I see you. Andrea, thank you so very much for your time, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, Andrea Miller, dietitian at Hy-Vee right here in Fitchburg. She serves all of our local Hy-Vees here, so make sure you say hi and tell her you've seen her here on Fact TV. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg, wrapping up the show for today. Remember to stay connected with us all day long. The information is on the screen, and we always love when you tune into Fact TV. Thank you to the guests, and have a great day, everybody.